Hello folks, this is the news at 4:20 from the cannabis community. So following on from the announcement in our last edition of the Breaking 420 news, Mark and Leslie went to court only to be told it was not in the public interest. Well, personally my opinion is the whole thing was a sham. The Crown Prosecution Service knew all along they wouldn't win, but because some overzealous peacekeepers in their usual let's kick the door in first and ask questions later style arrested them. Therefore, the CPS had to appear to be following it through. At some point in the proceedings they offered Mark the chance to plead guilty, and they would drop the charges against Leslie, which would have been an unprecedented result for the conniving prohibitionists, who really couldn't have got much done anyway. But luckily, Mark and Leslie are tight and know their shit and refused. Therefore, to let it go to this length was all the stress and worry this will have undoubtedly caused to those lovelies is tantamount to torture. And they should, if we lived in a fair society, be recompensed in some way, the least of which would be an NHS prescription for whatever cannabis needs Leslie has, which I'm damn sure would have been cheaper to facilitate than this sham of justice we've just witnessed. But that's only my opinion, and I'm only supposed to be here reading the news. But while I'm dwindling, I thought I'd read you this little poem if I have time, if I don't get timed out again, like I did earlier yesterday. We have a new Prime Minister again. You know, it's recent, but we've got him. And so here we go. It's called Hypocrisy, Democracy. I smoked weed at uni, the Prime Minister joked, while a legal hemp farm had its licence revoked. The crop was ready to harvest quite soon, but they weren't millionaires, didn't grow silver spoon. Yet in Norfolk and Kent is a place where they grow tons of the stuff because they're in the know, or is it because their licence is protected while everyone else has theirs rejected? They say it will be legal in 15 years, so I don't understand why everyone cheers. That is way too long for many folks. I smoked cannabis in uni, the Prime Minister jokes. So what about us lot? If it's okay for those, well, for us it's still illegal, and that's just how it goes. We grow cannabinoids inside us, it's true. So if growing's illegal, you're criminals too. Along with all vertebrates all over the earth, to the day they die from the moment of birth. Clinical endocannabinoid deficiency syndrome, CECD, very long words, too clever for me. When a child has its medicine taken, you say that's not right, but that's not the end of it. This is everyone's plight. Some people just want it to chill and relax. They know this is true, but they ignore the facts. Some want it for food, some when they're ill, without all the side effects from taking a pill. Some want it for clothing, some want it to build. Did I mention that some of us just want to be chilled? But the plant's not illegal, just so you know. It's illegal to own it or sell it or grow. We all have a right to homeostasis, not lost in a desert with no hope of oasis. Now, the canafams from the tribal gatherings are strutting the stuff. There's movements and happenings. We realise for them it's all about money, but people are dying and that's just not funny. People are dying and it isn't a game. There are people in power who could end it today. But a dying child's mother can just sit and pray. This is the tragedy of cannabis prohibition. People are dying, but our leaders don't listen. In these grim days of austerity, not everyone is taking it lying down though. We hear that a figure known as Outlaw Man has been giving away small bags of cannabis to excited members of the public in Piccadilly Park, Manchester, under a banner stating free cannabis souvenirs. Good on you, man. But who is Outlaw Man? Speculation is that he's either a modern day Zorro fighting against sorrow, or perhaps he's in the music industry. Outlaw questions UK laws and will continue to push the barriers of prohibition. It was reported he was at the centre of a terror alert in November as Manchester City Centre was shut down for 24 hours while he was filming a music video with his crew, I guess. Two of them were arrested, but they were released 24 hours later. But meanwhile, the centre of Manchester was shut down under a terror alert. In December, he was detained again while he was giving away £10 notes to homeless people. But once again, he was released without any chances. Giving away cannabis and cash to homeless people, among other controversial stunts. We hope you carry on. Good on you, geezer. Robin Hood of the canna world. We salute you for your compassion, unlike our government that has none. Anyway, back to I'm trying to be serious here. According to a poll by the Centre for Medicinal Cannabis, there are an estimated 1.4 million people who are using street cannabis for medical purposes. Whilst a recent government estimate in statistics say that a probable 7.18% of UK adults have used cannabis in the past year. Together, this accounts for nearly 5 million British people who utilise cannabis for either therapeutic, relaxational, creative, spiritual or nutritional, adult purposes, which gives an estimated black market value of up to 6 billion per year. However, many there be, since the first Cannabis Expo in Wembley 2004 sparked off a growing culture, it is believed that many are growing their own, covertly, which we feel will increase until our outdated laws are overturned, so everyone can grow with impunity, without the fear of having their front doors kicked in. We were all saddened to hear of the passing of Phil James, well-known campaigner. Phil has travelled on to the green pastures we will all eventually go to. Condolences and love go to the family. Namaste, brother. And then after celebrating its 5th birthday last year and 1 year of running their clubhouse, Bristol Cannabis Club has suffered a break-in and will be closed until further notice. They say they will let you know when the club rises like the phoenix from the ashes, of course. There's a GoFundMe been set up to help them re-establish themselves, and the link to that will be in with the blah blah blah. Next, news from the wider world of cannabis. In Hawaii, so-called decriminalisation started this week on the 11th. They will still prosecute anyone with over 3 grams, although if caught with under 3, people will get $130 fine. Wow, sounds like another bit of prohibition to me. But they call that decriminalisation. That's a odd bod. That's not what we want. In Morocco, the government's been discussing cannabis growing bills submitted by the Party for Modernity to reduce prosecution of farmers and legalise cannabis production. The motto given to the talks was the positive role of cannabis in creating an alternative economy. Good name. We look forward to seeing how this progresses. Thailand is set to host this year in 2020 the first World Ganja Festival, as their government pushes to promote the kingdom as a developer in the cannabis industry and cash in on this growing global opportunity. Back here in Britain, 2 new groups have just started on social media. First, we have Court Support, formed to show unity to anyone facing the unjust punishment from our legal systems, ideological and political war against our growing community. Anybody who refuses to plead guilty will get help with the important message: we are not criminals, and with many members pledging to turn up at court, you won't feel that you're all on your own. Always better to have your Canafam around. The second group is planning a march in London to deliver a letter signed, it is hoped, by thousands of cannabis users and supporters to Downing Street on April the 22nd. More details will follow as plans are formalised. Of course, this year, being 2020, means the whole of April is 420, and festivities will be on around the UK with various locations yet to be announced. You can probably find lots of them on CC News. It's not in the links, but I'll add it later, because they have an events calendar. It's expected that there will be clouds or crowds, one of those ouds things, at Hyde Park for sure, and venues across the UK. Smaller, but you know, as important. Other events already announced are Borrowfest, links in the blah blah blah, in July, and Green Pride in Brighton. I couldn't find a link for them. Sorry, you know, maybe it's just me. I am only a bender scum though. There's also talk of an event in Crawley. If this comes off, it will be for the second year. Last year's was excellent. I really enjoyed it. Durham City Cannabis Club had just announced a new venue on the second Tuesday of the month for education, talks, presentation and socialising with the other members of the Cannabis fam, and likewise there's a link for information. I think that's actually a picture, but hey, you know, that's some information in the blah blah blah. In other news, that's Simper Carter. In other news, a bus card is being prepared, inspired by the work of Trevor Coleman from way up there in Polar Bear Land, or Durham to you lot, and we're in discussion backwards and forwards, but busy, so you know, everything's so busy these days. Oh, there is news of cannabis clinics opening across the country, but no doubt these will be far too expensive to most of us, hence the need to GYO. I'd like to thank WTU for funding our backdrop, this luscious thing, and the special effects. Listen, like the special effects, these are amazing things. Look at that, superimposed. You wouldn't know, would you, that they were sellotaped in place. Anyway, but that's all by the way. And a poem. Oh yeah, and of course, you know, I don't want to get beaten up. The book. Alan and Winston and Phil Monk, they've all said that if I don't advertise the book up there, the book, they'll beat me up. So I always have to announce that everywhere I go. So, and I also have to apparently read a poem from the book, but they're rubbish. So anyway, here we go. It's called Good Night. Oh yeah, and this is the WTU Cannaman. Don't forget to make sure he's well topped up. Endocannabinoid Man. Right, the book, Cannabinoid Man. Thank you everybody. Even the video recorder for not switching it off halfway through like it did earlier. And here's a poem from the book. God, I'm such a media tart. Good night to human rights. It's got nothing to do with cannabis, probably. Animals, it seems, feel no pain unless they live in France or Spain or anywhere else that isn't insane. But in Britain, the animals feel no pain. If you think that's a joke, there's worse to come. Your rights eroded by political scum. Ignore what is said behind their sales pitches, and they'll do what they like without any hitches. Their salesman tells you, when it's gone, and there go your rights one by one. Hark at the sound of insidious laughter. A feudal system is what they're after. They really don't listen to me or you, or they were voted in and they'll do what they do. Back to the animals who they say feel no pain. They consider us animals. We're one and the same. Namaste. One love.